Hello YouTube, how are you guys doing today? I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today we are going to talk about the art of poetry writing, a guide for students, poets, and readers. I'm reading this backwards, so yeah. And Mary Oliver's book, A Poetry Handbook. These are both two fantastic books about the dictation, the form, the verse, the line, the devices of poetry. That's all important and valuable. But today I want to talk about something a little bit more mysterious, right? The mystery of the poetic process. How the poet has to live in order to create poetry, right? So let's dive into it. The first poet we're going to discuss is John Keats. And let's see what he says about poetry. I find that I cannot exist without poetry, without eternal poetry. Half the day will not do, the whole of it. I began with a little, but habit has made me a leviathan. Keats goes on to say, at once it struck me what quality went to form a man of achievement, especially in literature, and which Shakespeare possessed so enormously. I mean negative capability. That is when man is capable of being in uncertainties, mysteries, doubts, without any irritable reaching after the fact and reason. That with a great poet, the sense of beauty overcomes every other consideration, or rather obliterates all consideration. So that's one quote by Keats. And so essentially what he's getting to, the point he's getting to is the idea that the poet has to live his poetry, right? The poetry that you create comes from this mysterious process of amalgamation between order and chaos. And the mystery of poetry depends on one's ability to remain and be comfortable with the uncomfortable and the uncertainties and the fact that nothing is given form until the poet puts it down into words. And even then, the words themselves almost float off the page because they embody something much deeper. So let's get into our next quote. This one's a poem by Walt Whitman, and it perfectly demonstrates the two qualities of poetry that everyone needs, every poem needs. From Leaves of Glass, Walt Whitman. I think I could turn and live with animals. They are so placid and self-contained. I stand and look at them long and long. They do not sweat and whine about their condition. They do not lie awake in the dark and weep for their sins. They do not make me sick discussing their duty to God. Not one is dissatisfied. Not one is demented with the mania of owning things. Not one kneels to another, nor to his kind that lived thousands of years ago. Not one is respectable or unhappy over the whole earth. So this is what Walt Whitman does in Leaves of Grass. He takes abstract concepts and brings them down to earth, right? So obviously this is a commentary on everything that is human, right? The fact that humans do all these quote unquote unnatural things over time, and Walt Whitman discusses that in very grounded and imagistic terms. So it's just that tension between the abstract and the concrete that makes a poem so alive. And the mystery, right? The mystery, the deep themes of the human condition is what poetry is about. Thank you.